watching a drama, with some truth to it, because they actually have to, sell this series. Okay, they have to make money. So they're kind of, watering it down. That's my feeling. If you believe everything you watch on Project Blue Book, then you're agreeing to watching propaganda. I'm sorry.
Right. I follow that too, and I found about 3 or 4 different things that were just not right. I guess they were talking about Kathleen Martin, who I know very well, and she put me through a test, I guess, a survey thing that had to find out for sure if I was abducted or not, and she found out that I was a positive result on being abducted. I actually notified her, and I hope that she's listening to the show. Linda Moulton Howell, I don't know how to get a hold of her anymore, but I've been interviewed by her. So I know a lot of the players in this game of UFOs. But it's the technology, the minute things that they're doing, and that's what the aliens are doing to us with implants. Their little implants can do probably stuff that we can't imagine, controlling our DNA, controlling our thoughts, and then also letting them know where we're at, like a little GPS, capsule or whatever. But I know I get a lot from going to some of these conventions, and you always see weird people there. Every two conventions I've seen some weird people. I saw one. I got pictures of these guys. I followed them around, and the people said, "Dave, can you track these guys?" I said, "Sure, I'll try, but and not be conspicuous." One was a tall, young fellow in the late 20s, and he was big, and he wore a black suit like a MIB. And then the other guy was kind of a smallish professor look, and he had 1950s clothes on, some kind of a wool jacket that looked like he drug it out of the back of a flying saucer, for other words. But I took pictures of these guys, and these guys actually knew that I was taking pictures of them from behind, because as soon as I started taking the picture, this one guy turned around, and I said, "Whoa, they're wise to me." So the one guy went into the bathroom. Here goes the disappearance again. These people can disappear and come and go. I'm not really sure. After everything I've been through, I'm not sure. Is it beam me up, Scotty, or is it walking through dimensional walls? But I followed this guy into the bathroom because, I had to go anyway. So I went in. I looked for him. He was gone. I walked back out, and I was amazed. I was puzzled. And nobody saw these two guys coming and going. So you can actually see things if you have that third eye type of thing, and that's what you develop when you get close to these abductions and you get close to these UFOs. You seem to develop a talent or an art for that third eye. You're able to see things that other people don't see. It's not paranoia. I keep checking myself. Like I said, I had education in journalism. I check myself, and it's not. I try to say it's not paranoia. It's just you're seeing this, and this is playing out in front of you. Like in Sedona, I went through some dimensional things there. I was sitting on the front of the lodge, and here pulls up a car, kind of like a 1950s station wagon type car, and a woman walks out with an older dress. And a guy walks out with a small little girl, and he had a dog leash on her. And the dog leash had I guess, jewels and studs on it. And the guy didn't look at me. He sat down on the bench, and the little girl kept barking like a dog, and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. I looked at her, and she had a little thin face, blonde hair, real sparkly blue eyes. She looked right at me and barked. I said, "Oh, my God." That sent chills up my back. I walked in the room, got in my room, and I sat there for a little bit, and I come to myself. I said, "That's illegal. He's not supposed to have that child on a leash." I was going to walk out and let him have it, let him tell him about that little girl, and they were gone. And I asked the manager of the lodge, I said, "Did you see these people?" And they said, "No." I said, "My goodness."
Dave, maybe they came through a portal, okay, and maybe they came through at the wrong year. Because let's face it, a woman wearing a 50s dress, a 50s car, Even a dog leash. I don't remember dog leashes in the last 10, 15 years that has, fake diamonds and rubies on it. That was really popular in the 60s and in the 50s, gaudy, dog leashes. I remember that when I was a kid with my parents with our poodle and stuff, and that thing faded out years ago. So maybe they popped in the wrong time. And that's what you were seeing.
Right. I felt that there's energy there in Sedona, and I can feel it. I was going to leave. It was raining, and I was getting in my car, and there was an old-timer in a rocking chair. And there was no rocking chair on that porch that I remember at all, just two benches. And I wonder where the rocking chair come from, and I wonder where this old-timer come from. They looked like about 1890s dressed. And he looked at me, he says, "I wouldn't leave if I were you." And I opened up the car door and I talked to him. I said, "Why?" He said, "I just wouldn't leave if I were you." He said, "I'd stay here another night." And I said, "Oh, you're talking about the weather?" Yeah. So I said, "No, it's supposed to be west of us." So I left. And when I did, I ran into one of the worst storms. It was 50 years. They had 7 tornadoes in the Arizona area that year. And it was 50 years since the last tornado they had. And I was right underneath a swirling cloud, and I had hail damage, about, I guess, $3,000 worth of hail damage on my car. So he was warning me, and I didn't take heed. And this was a message from the other side. I guess they're there to do good, or are there to come back in time and see what's going on.
Well, it sounds like to me, my feeling, after interviewing dozens and dozens and dozens of abductees, and my experience I had in the mid-'70s of, me and my wife were in the New Mexico desert, and we saw a bright light, and we thought it was a, police helicopter because they didn't have a speed limit, or if they did, it was really high. And we were coming from North Carolina, coming back home to Seattle at the time. And I pulled off the side of the road and thinking, okay, I'm busted. I get out. And the light, I got to warn you, Dave, was so intense that inside the car, it lit the whole car up like daylight, or if not brighter. It burned my eyes. I get out of the car. The light was so intense, but in a fraction of a second, it was poof, it was gone. I talked to Peter Davenport. He's been on our show numerous times on our network, talking, about UFO sightings and abductions and stuff like that, because he runs the UFO Reporting Center. And he actually, at one point, had a very similar one. Plus, he's had literally thousands of people reporting the same type of experience I had. And I can honestly tell you, being in the military, I know what a helicopter sounds like. There was absolutely no sound. So I think they are abducting people. I think time, what is time? So, I mean, other than what's on the clocks, if you didn't have a watch or clock, it'd be really hard to keep track of the time other than nighttime, daytime. I think when people are abducted, they don't realize they have been abducted for an hour or 2 or 3. And, it is scary. I don't know what their motive is, but I can honestly, I want to get into this here because we're going to have to take a break from here for the radio stations. But I want to say this, that the Finks, and I brought this up numerous times, and I've had all these scientists sending me emails. For years and years and years, the wear marks on the Finks, they said it was created from sand blowing on it. Then the last testing and everything, the scientists now come to conclusion that the Finks, the wear marks on the Finks, was caused by an ocean. Now, if that's the case, then that puts it before pre-man, okay, a man as we know it. So then it tells me, well, something created the Finks. Now, naturally, at one point, they changed the face of it and recarved it from whatever it originally was. But if the Finks is older than our civilization, tells me maybe at one point our planet was visited by aliens, maybe like for gold or whatever elements we have on our planet. It could have been very precious, and they mined our planet to basically, like when you have a gold mine, right? You only get so much gold out of it, and then it's not worth going after. Maybe they, it consumed our elements, what they could get reasonably. Maybe mankind started from maybe they brought slaves, and when they left the slaves on the planet because to them they weren't, going to be useful anymore. That's some of the type of feelings I get, and it makes me wonder. We are maybe aliens on ourselves, so maybe
I think we are, and I think you asked me a while ago, how do you feel after you've been through a lot of these incidents and you've seen things up front? It also makes you want to study archaeology, religion. It wants you to take a look back, just what you're doing. You're looking back to see where we come from. And that's what I want to do. I want to not only see where I'm at now with these strange things that's happened to me, but I want to look back and see maybe why this all started and where we come from. Now science is changing their tune on the Big Bang. They're saying it was some kind of another explosion from a star that created the gases that formed our galaxy. So they might have to rewrite history there too. And archaeology is rewriting all the time. So who knows? Who knows what's really back in the past? We didn't have any really written words, and I guess that's why they didn't really put it down in writing and put it in stone. But it's all interesting. It really is. So I look at the archaeology, and I'm just really, I delve into all that stuff. I mean, because you have to put it all together like pieces of a puzzle. And you're right about that bright light. I was hit by bright light one time. I was going to Alamo, Nevada, for a convention, UFO convention. That's where I met Travis Walton first time. And I come around this corner, and a bright light, just like a flow. It flowed across my face. I had to turn to my left, and when I did, my right eye got all that bright light force. It actually burned my eyes. I had to pull off the road so I can see again. And when I went to the doctor, I guess a couple of months later, she shined a light in my right eye, and it hurt. And she kept looking at it with her instrument. She says, "You got a burn back there." I said, "A burn?" I said, "Only a welding torch or something can cause you a burn back there, right?" And she goes, "Well, yeah, maybe." But she says she kept looking at it. She was curious about it. I said, "Well, I did see a bright light in Nevada that blinded me, and I thought maybe it might have been something from a UFO." Guess what she does? She puts it in the medical book. Patient said he saw a UFO and his eye was burnt. I didn't want that written in the medical book,
Not nowadays, Dave, because what's it's scary. Any medical information, when you go to the doctor now, I mean, it astounds me because you can go from one doctor to another doctor across the country, right? They get on their computer, they bring up your medical records. And who else can bring up your medical records? And that is really scary. And that, I don't know if I want that out, made public, to everybody that wanted to check up on you.
So I told the doctor after that 6 months later, I thought, could you get that off there? I don't know why she put that on there. And I know why myself. I'm for real. I believe what happened, but I didn't want her to believe what happened. So he said, "Yeah, sure, I'll take that off." And I said, it was like seeing a UFO with a bright light. But I'll get into this one, I guess, hybrid ET that I met in Sedona, but that's going to be a little lengthy story.
Okay, yeah, and we got to go for a break here in 1.5 minutes from now.
Okay. All right. I'll do that afterwards, after your break, and I'll get into that. And to me, that's one of the most mind-boggling, I think, connections I ever made with the other side. And I still think it still taps on me every once in a while. So, yeah, we'll get into that when you get the time. Okay.
Well, we're going to go for break. I'm going to put you on hold, so please don't hang up. And you'll be back on in about 2.5, 3 minutes. Okay, Dave?
All right.
So abductions, do you believe that people are being abducted? Do you believe that they're taking your DNA samples off of you or implanting? I mean, if you remember back a few weeks ago, we had Timothy Cullen on. Well, actually, a couple months ago, Timothy Cullen, he's been